So, next little part of the class. So we've suddenly rolled up to seat. So we are going to make our way into what's called tabletop. So in tabletop, we want to make sure that our hands are like roots of trees and they're really grounded into the mat. We're only placing pressure into the finger pads and knuckles, so nice and light into the wrists. We want to make sure our shoulders are stacked over our elbows, over our wrists, and our elbow creases are rotated slightly forward. Okay, so nice strong alignment in our upper body. Our knees are about hip width distance apart and our hips are stacked over our knees. If we find this a little bit crunchy in the knees, we can always flex the feet, otherwise just keep the feet flat. And we're going to go into a few nice little rounds of cat-cow. So cat-cow, we want to find our neutral spine to start with. So our neutral spine, we're arched. So our neutral spine is just that little space in between. Okay, so in cat-cow curl, we're looking at mobilizing our spine. As we inhale, we're going to press the chest forward, looking up toward the ceiling, arching through the spine. Exhale, pressing into the mat, curling through the spine, gaze back to the belly. Inhale, gaze goes forward and up, arching. Exhale, curling through, releasing those shoulder blades. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, curling through. I want you to close your eyes down here and just feel that movement. So work with your own breath. You're trying to free up as much space along the spine as you can. So thinking about every single last vertebrae along the spinal column, getting that blood flow and energy. And just noticing where it feels a little bit tighter. So maybe it's between the shoulder blades, so taking an extra couple of breaths into that spot. So using the movement to access that space. Maybe it's in the lower back, maybe it's in the chest. Maybe you want to press it into child's pose, maybe you want to go up into a semi-upward dog. So again, just take the movement to wherever the body feels good. So we're just using it to generate as much movement into the body. Okay, we're going to gently open the eyes, coming back into our tabletop, and we're going to come into a little chest opener here. So we're going to bring the left palm to the center of the mat. We're going to flip the right palm to face us, still checking in the lower body's nice and grounded and rooted. We're going to inhale the right arm up toward the ceiling, extending the fingertips up toward the ceiling and opening the heart. Gaze goes up if it's okay on the neck. As we exhale, we're going to thread that right arm underneath the left, bringing the ear toward the ground. Inhale, right arm reaches up and open. Exhale, threading that right arm through. Inhale, right arm up and open. Exhale, threading it through. Last one, inhale up, extend and open. This time as we exhale, resting the right shoulder, right ear onto the mat and reaching away through those fingertips as far as we can. We can either keep the left hand where it is, working that left shoulder back, or we can draw that left arm up and over, reaching that left arm out in front of us of the mat, maybe walking that arm a little bit to the right. We're looking up underneath that armpit and we're drawing that left shoulder back. So we're trying to work into a rotation in the chest here. So I'll just do it from the other angle so that you can see me here. So I'm reaching away through those fingertips, arm up and over. Again, try to lengthen out through that left arm, and I'm looking out underneath that armpit and I'm drawing that left shoulder back. So I'm trying to create a little bit of a twist and opening into the body here. Every exhale, drawing that shoulder back a little bit more. If you want to bring it a little bit further, you can always rest that left hand on the lower back or in the little crease at the top of the right leg. And again, every exhale, drawing that shoulder back. So really trying to create as much space into the chest here, working a lovely little twist into that lower back. Working with that belly breath. Wherever we're at, we're going to bring that left hand back to the mat. And as we inhale, we're going to reach that right arm up one more time. See if we have a little bit more rotation. And then exhale back into tabletop. So there's loads of things we could do in tabletop, but we're going to start up for our little flow section of the class here. We're going to tuck our toes under, we're going to press our hands into the mat, and we're going to press it back into downward dog. So downward dog, we want to imagine ourselves like little upside down V's. We're pressing the ground away. Again, pressure is only in the finger pads and knuckles, so nice and light in the wrists. We're drawing the hips toward the ceiling. We're trying to keep the spine as long as we can. Trying to keep those shoulders strong, drawing the heels down toward the mat. And again, you're going to notice with me, I have that bend into my knees. If you have that flexibility, I want you to try to really get rid of that bend and really draw those heels down toward the mat. And from here, we're just going to walk it out. So allow opposite heels melt down toward the ground. Gaze is back toward the belly, toward the knees. So relax the head, relax the neck. And just use the lovely movement to open up into the backs of the legs, right up through the hamstrings, right up into the hips. Maybe rocking the hips a little bit side to side. So we're really drawing that, looking out underneath opposite armpits. Trying to get as much movement into the body, nice and slow. And then gently coming back into our downward dog. As we inhale, we're going to come high up onto the tippy toes. And as we exhale, draw the heels right back to the ground. Inhale it up. Exhale, release. Inhale it up. Exhale, release. Looking forward between the hands, we're going to gently walk to the front of the mat. And from here, we're going to do a little twist. So again, we just check in. We have our block centered at the front of the mat. We want our feet about hip width distance apart. Might get a little bit wider in time. We're going to place both hands on the block until we get a full extension into the knees. So if that means bringing it up to this level, so if my knees are bent here, I'm going to bring it up to here. Might have to bring it up the whole way. So we want to keep a nice little bit of length into the spine and also into the hamstrings here. We're going to place the left hand on the block. We're going to look at that right palm, and we're going to inhale the right arm up, reaching the fingertips up toward the ceiling. And as we exhale, hinging forward fold. Inhale, left arm up and open. Exhale it, fold. Inhale, right arm up and open. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm up and open. Exhale it, fold. So continuing both sides, we're drawing those shoulders back. We're releasing into the fold. All the weight is falling back into the heels and into the hips. So we should be able to wiggle our toes quite easily here. I want you to feel that stretch into the hamstrings. If you find the knees are bending, just bring the block up a level or bring the feet wider apart a little bit so that you're getting that full rotation into the spine. Release on that fold. Two more, both sides. Try to really open the heart up here and just noticing where it's restricted and trying to use the movement. Fully folding forward into our folder. You can remove the block off to the side. And while we're here, we're going to come into a nice deep forward fold, but with our knees nicely bent. So now feet are about hip width distance apart, stacked. We're going to bring a really deep bend into the knees until we can rest our belly onto the legs. Then we're going to hold on to opposite elbows and allow the head and neck fully release. So we want to maintain that connection of the belly on the legs. We're trying to release our lower back here in order to access a little bit more space into the hamstrings. Relax the head and neck, maybe give it a little shake. And as we inhale from here, see if we can really try to get that stretch into the legs, but maintaining the belly on the legs as much as possible. You notice here my legs are starting to shake. That's those tight hamstrings. Every exhale, releasing a little bit deeper into the fold. And not getting caught up with that bend in the knee, maybe even closing down the eyes. So what you want to feel here is a release into the lower back. So if we can't release the lower backs, we can stretch our hamstrings till the cows come home, but they're never going to stretch. So we want to focus on this lovely lower back release. And then over time, our hips will lift, we release that, and we can access a little bit more space in the hamstrings. Gently releasing the hands toward the mat, tucking the chin in, and gently, gently, gently rolling up to stand. Head comes up last, rolling the shoulder blades back together and release. We're going to move into our vinyasa flow sequence next. We're just going to start with a little warmer upper sun salutations. We'll keep it nice and slow to start with. We'll bring a little bit of breath into it. And then in further sections, we'll break it down and add variations.